Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of OneMicNite. The episode today is incredible. Hold on to your seat. Nothing is spared in this interview. My guest today is a filmmaker. She's a screenwriter. She's a creator, and she owns her own company. We're going to be talking about women in the business. We're going to talk about a lot of her projects, content, and give you some business tips on how to make it in the industry. So stick around. Make sure you grab a drink, grab some popcorn, grab some dinner, grab some whatever it is. And if you're in the live chat, make sure you join in and talk about the episode. I'm Marcos Luis. Stick around. This is OneMicNite. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of OneMicNite, the podcast that brings you stories of artists, people on their journey, helping to guide, answer questions, and motivate you in life and the business. You already know who I am. It's Marcos Luis. I'm back, and I want to thank you guys all for being along with me on this journey. 17 big years, and I'm so happy that you are here to help me with this. First of all, if you're new, welcome, and thank you for joining in. If you're listening on audio, please make sure you check out the YouTube because we live stream every Tuesday night the episode and jump into the live chat and talk about the episodes as we go. Also, make sure you look out for OneMicNite Talk with my co-host, psychotherapist and consultant Shane Marteau. He's in the mix too. So we got a lot of stuff we talk about here on OneMicNite. So I want to thank you guys for being all with me on this journey. My guest today, I am extremely excited because when we talk about film and filmmaking, you know that's where I live. So that's what we're doing today. My guest today is a screenwriter. She's a producer. She's a director. She's an author. Her company is called Beast Mode Entertainment, and I'm so excited to talk to her. She goes by the name of N.A.Z. Pankey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for making time. I know we busy, so it's hard to coordinate our schedules. So I'm so happy to have you here.
Yes, I'm happy to be here.
Listen, I have questions. The first question is, who is N.A.Z. Pankey?
Well, N.A.Z. Pankey is Nadira Aisha Zakia Pankey. It's funny, I wrote a book years ago, and I just put N.A.Z. on the book, N.A.Z. Pankey. So everybody in New York, that's where I'm from, the Bronx, they know me as Nadira. But since I moved here in Georgia, they just gave me the name N.A.Z. And I like it. I like the sound of it. So it's kind of good. So who is N.A.Z. Pankey?
Mm-hmm.
N.A.Z. Pankey is, ooh, that's
always the big question.
Who I am, I think I'm a cool cat. I'm from the South Bronx. You know, I did 17 years in the Bronx.
Okay, all right.
During the crack epidemic. And,
wow.
You know, I made it out of that. Rough life, rough upbringing, rough childhood. I would like to say I was raised with a lot of love and affection, but I wasn't. Mm-hmm. And somehow I chose to do the right things in life. You know, I chose to never use drugs. I chose to be everything opposite of what I grew up seeing. You know, I grew up in crack houses and, you know, around a lot of drugs and a lot of crime and a lot of things. And I chose to take a different walk in life. Have I made all the right choices? No, I have not. But I made, I think, some pretty good choices and with the tools that I had. I raised two boys. First I was a single parent for a while, and I raised them, and I'm really proud of the young men that they are today. Thank God. Thank God,
Amen. Yeah.
and so I did that. I did that. Yay. And went to school as an adult. I was borderline illiterate and just learned to read, became a writer, screenwriter, filmmaker. It's my passion. And that's who I am. I live loving and love living, pretty much. Kind of an introvert. I have my little posse, my team, my tribe around me, and I'm not trying to go too far out of that. Although I do love people and socialize with people, I'm an introvert.
Introvert.
Yeah.
Let's back up. I mean, it's interesting because I feel like we need to know, where we come from in order to understand where we are today. So you grew up in the Bronx at a time where it was, we all know, it was tumultuous, excuse me. Like you said, a lot of drugs. New York was destroyed. There's graffiti. There's all this stuff happening in this hub of New York.
Yes.
So how does little N.A.Z, make it through?
I have to say God got me through. Really, I would be lying to you if I get on here and tell you that I didn't think about suicide, and I didn't go through rough times. I had a very rough upbringing. It wasn't a joke. I was being abused within the household, and I had to go to school. I had to fight. There was no way around it. There was nobody telling you not to fight. There wasn't any teachers to run to at that time. When I came up in the early 80s, in the early 80s, 90s, I had to fight, and I fought every day at school. Then you're dealing with being bullied, kids teasing you because you don't have the clothes, your hair is not done, you have a drug addict for a mom. Then you go home and you don't know what mood anyone's going to be in. You don't know if you're going to get beat. You don't know if you're not going to get beat. You don't know if your mom's going to be home, and you don't know if she's ever coming back home, or you don't know if I didn't know if I would see her, 2 days later or a week later. It was that kind of thing. You don't know how you eat. You got to go out there and pack bags, and I had siblings, I had to take care of them. So it was a really rough time. I think I got through because God always gave me someone to take care of. He always gave me someone to be responsible for other than just myself. If it was just me, I probably would have ended it a long time ago. But I knew, okay, I have my sisters, and I was the oldest. I'm the oldest. So I have my sisters. They need me. I can't just go and just end it all. So I always had someone to take care of. And then as a teenager, I had my children. I had my sons that I had to take care of. So that was what really kept me going. And then eventually there was that self-love. But that's how I made it through that time. It was a really hard time. Everything that you looked out and that you saw was dark, was depressing, was gloomy in the Bronx. You talk about all those brown brick adjoining buildings and tan buildings and buildings burning down. Like, I came up during that time when the buildings were burning down, where there wasn't no parks and no community centers like the stuff that we have today. We didn't have that when I came up. We had to make our own fun. We had to open up the fire hydrants and, play kick the can and steal the bacon and, make our own
the bacon.
Fun. Yeah, we had to make our own fun in the neighborhood. We didn't have the stuff that a lot of kids have today. So when I came up, it was just all about, okay, how are we going to get through the day and survive? And to be honest with you, those were some of the good memories that I have of the Bronx, putting the boombox window against the window bars and turn the music up to its loudest capacity for the whole block to hear it, and playing the hip hop music, and, doing the Snake and doing the WAP, and, listening to Salt and Pepper and MC Light and Biz Markie, and people going by with the radios and playing it loud. Those were like the highlights of growing up in the Bronx, because there were so many dark times, but there were also, experiences that I've never had except for in the Bronx, sitting on the hood of someone's car. I could just go on and on.
Wow. See, I love that, because these are all the things that we look back at in retrospect and we say, wow, look at that. That's New York. That's what it was about. But underneath it all, there was some darkness. There was some pain. There was some, loss. There was some, trying to find out who you were as a child and where your life was going to go. Do you feel like some of that you use in the work that you do today as a storyteller, as an artist?
Absolutely. I think going through those times humbled me. to never look down on anyone, never say that can't be me. It humbled me and it gave me a lot of understanding. I always say understanding is going through the process of something, not just reading it in a book and, becoming knowledgeable of something. But when you read it and then you go through it, you do that thing that you read, and then you keep doing it enough until you understand it. That's understanding. I always use baking a cake, the instructions in the back of the box: eggs, milk, cake mix, water. You do it so many times, you don't have to read the instructions anymore. Like, that's the wisdom. You need eggs, milk, water, oil, mix it all up, put it in the pan, grease the pan, put it in the pan, put it in the oven for a certain temperature. You know what to do without even reading the instructions because you've done it so many times. But then now the understanding comes when you understand the process, what's happening while that cake is baking, what makes it rise, what makes it fall, that type of stuff. So I always say, just the understanding, going through something gives you understanding. You can listen to somebody all day with a broken heart, but you won't know what it feels like until you've had your heart broken.
Understanding, right? And empathy. Absolutely.
And empathy. And so I feel like that journey, my journey in life, gives me a lot of understanding and empathy, as you said. And yes, I do put that into my writing. I do put that into creating my characters and creating compelling stories that people can relate to and walk away changed, walk away with a different perspective, walk away learning more and wanting to do better in life. So that's really the gist of my content.
I like that. You have a company, and tell us a little bit about it. And it sounds like essentially what your mission of the company is.
Yes. It's a time, beast mode. Okay. I'm from the Bronx, and I have to say, thank God, my upbringing taught me how to problem solve and how to do the things that people think they can never do, like how to do the incredible, how to do the miraculous, how to do the impossible. Like, I learned that from coming up in the South Bronx, period. So Beast Mode came about. I got to tell you this. I was a part of this 48-hour film project. So 48-hour film project is like a project where they go from state to state all throughout the United States. And in 48 hours, you have to make a movie. They give you a line of dialogue, a character, they give you a prop, and they give you a genre, but you don't know what it is until that Friday. You get it on a Friday, and then by Sunday, your movie has to be made. I'm talking about written, filmed, edited, everything, and you turn it in, and then like a week later, they'll screen it in the theater.
Oh, wow.
You can go to Cannes and all that kind of stuff. So I would get involved, and when I came here to Georgia, pretty much taking care of my sons and all of that stuff, I would get involved in 48-hour film projects. And the 48-hour film projects, they give you meet people, you get teams together. So my first 48-hour film project, I was like, I'm gonna do this thing. I didn't have a camera, I didn't have anything, but I went to school for filmmaking. A lot of people didn't know that. They just knew me as a screenwriter. They didn't know all the other things that I did as well. And so I decided to get involved in a 40-hour film project. I had teamed up with these guys that I used to go every week to this meeting in Marietta, and there were some filmmakers. They were kind of like getting into it. They had cameras, they had lights, they had sound, they had everything. So I was like, let's do it. So I ended up going to the Southeastern Railroad Museum, getting that joint for free. And that's where they was filming like all these major big productions, the vampire, like major Hollywood productions. I went in there and talked to someone and was like, yo, I'm getting ready to do this thing. I need a location. This is perfect. Walked around, somehow got it. And then I did a casting call, but I contacted like all the major casting companies. I didn't know really, I had never done this, but I was like, okay, I need some actors now. And I had, for my first casting call, I had a line snaked around the block. So the location that I had, I couldn't even fit the people in there. Like, I literally had to have them audition in the street because it was so many people. Casted 40 actors because I didn't know how to say no to people.
That's funny. Wow.
I casted 40 actors, and then I ended up with 8 PAs, and each PA was responsible for 5 actors. Like, I literally organized this whole entire production. It was a big.
How did you know how to do that? What, like?
Well, I knew from the Bronx, man, coming up as a kid, you got to figure out when you dig in the ground and you eat dirt because you're so hungry, you figure things out. So then I was also borderline illiterate for most of my life. So the way my brain works is different from the way somebody who's feel like they got to read a book to figure it all out. I'm just like, yo, I got 40 people here. If I have 8 PAs and if they take 5 actors, they can handle that. They can make sure that my actors get in makeup, wardrobe, they all have walkie-talkies. That thing was organized. When I tell you organized, I had 5 special effect makeup artists on deck. It was organized.
This is what I love because I'm sorry, I just want to cut you off for 1 second because it's not so much about the education anymore. It's more about logical thinking. And if the logic is you have 5 PAs, you got 40 actors, they can take care of 5 people, then you can get the production going. It's like logical thinking of how you're going to make this and how you can construct this to work.
For free, because the 48 hours, nobody gets paid. So it was for free at that. Everybody was lending their services for free. I mean, we had the best makeup, best costume, best lighting. The guy who I originally was going to work with, he saw what I was doing. And he was like, oh, I don't feel like you're going to give me credit. It became a jealousy thing. So he backed out last minute. I kid you not. I was in Disney with my sons when I got the message that he was backing out. I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. I got on Craigslist and said, I need lighting, cinematography, and sound. And by the time 2 days later, when I got back to Atlanta, I was meeting up with my crew.
Wow.
And I'm talking about the best lights. I'm not talking about somebody just pulling out no little flashlights. I'm talking about REs. I'm talking about LEDs. I'm talking about top of the line lighting.
Wow.
Camera.
Wow.
Sound. And so to me, that was just beast mode, but I didn't have the name beast mode at the time. I knew it was beast mode. I'm from the Bronx, so I know. Somebody just call me beast mode Bronx. But I knew it was beast mode, but I didn't call it beast mode. I just was like, okay, once we formed that team and we did that, I was like, why not keep it going? So I started a group called Atlanta Filmmakers Team. And we would all get together. We would meet up every other week. Every other weekend, like on a Saturday, and somebody that wanted to be a screenwriter would write a script. Then people who wanted to get into cinematography, they film it. Then somebody who was interested in editing would edit it. And then we had like people who did makeup and wardrobe and everybody who wanted to dig into that arena, into this realm of filmmaking, but they were nervous or didn't feel like they had it all. They would come to Atlanta Filmmakers Team and they had a chance to work on their craft. And then we would come back the following 2 weeks and go over it. Okay, the actors is looking how they acted. What could they have done better? How could the edit be better? How could the lighting? Like we really worked on our craft. So what happened is that team grew to like over 300 members, like religion coming out. There was no space to fit us. Like it was growing because we were actually doing stuff. We wasn't just sitting there talking about for 9 months what we gonna do. We gonna do this. Well, how we gonna get started? Well, let's get the book out. Okay, well, we didn't do that. Like literally when we bring what you got, let's get started, because I believe hands-on. You can talk till you blue in the face, but people learn different ways. Actors are going to be better by acting,
Absolutely.
And so we began to work, and then they began to feel more comfortable because everybody's getting to know one another now. So it's not like, oh, I got to be shy or afraid. You feeling comfortable. You're doing what you love. You're looking at yourself now on screen, on the on what you've done. And so we started doing that. And then I had people out of Atlanta like, yo, I'm going to sue you. You better get rid of that name, because it was Atlanta Filmmakers Team. So we had other different groups, but it wasn't no group called Atlanta Filmmakers Team, but we had groups that started with Atlanta. And what it was that my group was just successful. It's that simple. People were coming out. And so they were like, they couldn't really sue me because I didn't have anybody else's name. But what I did is just to relax. I didn't want to make no enemies, here in Georgia. I don't want no enemies. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just change the name. So that's how Beast Mode.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. And, and I have to admit, is when you love what you're doing, it's never work.
Say it again. Work. Say that again.
When you love what you're doing, it's never work.
Right. It's passion for what we do.
Yes.
And I like this because you know, when people see that you, who are the leader of this whole thing, or one of the, you know, people who are driving this whole thing, when they see your passion, they feel your energy, they're going to jump on board too. They know it's a learning process. They might not have the confidence at first, but they know, they realize it's a learning process, and you greet everybody and you welcome them. And that's where the sense of community comes from. That's exactly where the community comes from.
Yes. And then sometimes you find out things about yourself that you didn't know. Like in a group like that, you might say, wow, I like acting, but I like learning lighting too. Or, you know, I like wardrobe, but I also like doing hair. You know, you might, I like doing set deck. You might learn new things about yourself. And
because you may not have been exposed to it. You didn't even know it was a possibility, and you don't see us in those positions often enough. So we wouldn't even consider that as a job.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. So it's just a way to open up doors, learn about one another, what we would love, what we would enjoy, and just provide opportunity and exposure. Like you said, giving that exposure to different things. So it was a lot of fun. And that's how I came up with Beast Mode.
I like that. How did you transition into being a business person? Because, you know, we can all get together and just do some stuff, but there are, like you said, there are challenges in terms of copywriting the name, or, you know, marking the logo, or what, you know, things like that. How do you transition into those things?
It is a lot. It's a lot of work. I'm gonna tell you that it's a lot of work, and that's the side of the business that I don't like, because I'm such a creative. I just want to do the creative part. For a long time in my head, I used to be like, well, I'm just going to do it this way, and then, you know, hopefully, you know, I'll get somebody to do these things for me. I'll be able to get someone to do it for me. You know, that's expensive. That is all. That's my goal one day, to still just get somebody to do all the business stuff for me. But that's just not how it worked. I had to figure out a lot of things. Now, what I will say is the first time I figured out business is when I wrote my book, Evergreen Uprooted.
There you go.
The block I grew up on. So when I wrote my book, there was a woman in my church. She had written a book too. And I was like, well, how do I self-publish it? How do I do it? And she didn't want to tell me. She was like, well, it's very difficult. It's a lot of steps. It's this, is that. I'm like, well, okay, well, what's the steps? She didn't want to share it with me. So that forced me to investigate and figure out what the steps are and how to do it. And so I did. I ended up starting my own publishing company. This is like way back when I lived in Connecticut. I started my own publishing company.
Wow.
I published my book, and that's when I said, okay, I can do this. So even with my business, I was like, how do you do it? Well, now you can Google everything. You can it's on YouTube. You ask questions, you do the research, you put the footwork in. I don't want to do it, but I have to do it because I have nobody else to do it for me right now.
Right.
So, you know, you put the research in and you do it. And so I made Beast Mode Entertainment into an LLC. That was the first thing I did. And I was like, okay, filmmaking, I had learned that in college. I have a degree in TV production and media studies. So I didn't just kind of step into it. That's another thing. The actual craft itself, I learned that in college. They didn't teach me the business side of it though. They taught me, you know, the elements of filmmaking, because just like music and every art that you do, and I'm pretty sure you know that as an actor, as a voiceover artist, if you do music, there's always elements to it. You know, there's harmony in music, there's a tempo, there's the beat, the bass, it's so many, the rhythm, it's so many elements. And the same thing with filmmaking, it's a lot of elements, it's so many moving pieces. And I had an extraordinary professor who worked in Hollywood. So when he taught, my degree in TV production, but he also taught me filmmaking as well. And I was able to take those tools that he gave me and share it with my group, Beast Mode, and share it and put it into my own productions.
I love this. I love. Do you ever think about, we're at a different place right now where people are expanding their businesses into teaching courses and things like that. Do you ever think about doing that if you haven't done it?
I would love to do it one day. It's just sometimes it's so hard to do it now. What I'm doing requires so much of my time and all of me in the filmmaking. I used to teach young children. I used to teach at a school, a middle school. And I used to teach kids filmmaking. I would go to school every single day and teach them media studies. It was so much fun.
Wow.
About story. I would have them take a little element. It could be a pencil or old spoon. I would say, tell me the story of this spoon. Where did the spoon come from?
Really?
Before it landed here. Yeah, give me a story. And they would create a story, and then they would create a screenplay. And then I had one of the kids doing makeup, one of the kids doing set design. I had kids with the cameras. Oh, we had so much fun. We had some actors. And so I did that for a couple of years at a school. And it was a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. It's very time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's something I've been thinking about screenwriting, to be honest with you, only because it's so many people that think that you just start writing a screenplay, and there is a structure, and there's so much that goes into every art form. There's a lot that goes into it. Every art, whether it be cinematography, whether it be screenwriting, acting, there's a lot that goes into it. And I know with screenwriting, that's my joy, that's my heart, that's my first love, content creating and writing. And so there's so much that goes into storytelling. What is this? What is a story? It's a metaphor of real life. It's so much that goes into character development. How do you build your characters? What's a sequence? What's a scene? What is the difference between a teleplay, which is for television, and a screenplay, which is for film, and what's the structure of that? And it's just so much that goes into storytelling. It's fascinating to me. So maybe I'll do something one day.
I'm signing up. I'll be the first one to sign up. Oh. That sounds good.
Yes. Do
you feel like we're at a different place right now with technology and the AI tools that we have, and all, what people are doing in terms of a shift in the arts and entertainment?
We are in a different age. Mm-hmm. And what I will say, I understand everybody's point of view. I understand the battle. I get it. This situation that we're in, this day and age, it forces people to do more and to be better. You cannot just be one thing. That's the thing. You cannot just be a screenwriter nowadays. Right. You probably there's some screenwriters that they've been screenwriters for 20, 30 years, and that's great. But you have to grow. You have to expand yourself. You got to be able to do more than just that one thing. For example, I'm a screenwriter, but I'm a director. I can do cinematography. I can sit behind a computer and I can edit on Avid and edit on Adobe Premiere. So it's not like I'm just, if somebody say, hey, we want to get AI, okay, I could write my own screenplay, get some actors, get some cameras and film, and still put it out there. Right. You have to be at a place where you do more than just that one thing now. And I think that's what the place that we're in today, I think that's what we're learning.
I think so too. I think that whole thing came about mostly around the time of the George Floyd and the pandemic, where people started venturing out and understanding, especially people of color. So we started, knowing that we could start businesses, that we could get the LLCs and start shifting from customer service or, doing things like that in making our dreams come true, getting retail businesses, getting online businesses, e-commerce, stock market. You have to be more than that. Along with that stuff, it comes, you have to know a little bit about marketing. You have to know other things. So yeah, I think I'm right there with you.
We got off the plantation.
Yep.
Because my grandmother, my grandfather, they always like, okay, go to school, get an education, and go work for someone.
Yes.
Not walk in your passions, not learn business, not just go to school. You bet get an education. That's how you're gonna make me proud.
Right.
And go work for someone.
And
all we do is work to build other people's dreams and other people's businesses, and not our own. We have no generational wealth. We have nothing. Not saying I'm not talking about like all Black people don't have that. No. I'm not. I'm just saying a lot of us, we're learning now. And like you said, things happen to push us into another direction that might seem negative, but really it makes us better.
Right.
So I feel like even this thing with AI, okay, this thing is happening. It's happening. So how can we still make it? How can we be better?
How can we continue to learn and use it for our own passions? I know even just the other day, I use AI to make a new logo. So, you have to, kind of venture on and keep yourself educated in your field, cut the costs for my business.
Yes.
I don't have to pay someone to make a logo now. I made the logo. I own the rights to it.
That's right.
Things like that. So we have to stay up on that kind of stuff.
Yes, everything changes.
Everything changes.
Everything changed. We don't have radios and cassettes and record players no more. We got stuff online, digital. We're not watching DVDs and VHS anymore. Like, things change, and you have to be able to adapt to the change and keep as time is changing and everything is evolving. As human beings, we have to evolve too.
We definitely
can't stay
do.
stuck. We can't stay stuck. We have to move. So that's just what it is. Yes.
Let's talk about some of your projects. You got a lot of work out there. I was taking a look. I don't know. I just go down the line a little bit. Gerald's Hands. Tell us about that one. That kind of struck me.
Yeah, Gerald's Hands brings awareness, of course, to autism, bullying, domestic violence, all the things that I've experienced in my life. My son is autistic, my oldest son. He's brilliant, very high IQ, but autistic, and had to go through a lot of bullying, being ostracized. And as a mom, you just kind of want to jump in and be like, and protect your child, but you can't make kids be nice. You can't make people be nice. That was the thing. And so I believe that if we teach our children and we teach people and educate them about autism, it's a disability, just like being blind is a disability, and you don't make fun and mistreat somebody that's being blind. Matter of fact, you help that person. Or being deaf or in a wheelchair, right? We're taught in the right way. It's the same thing when it comes to a disability such as autism. So I wanted to create a film that would bring awareness, and I wanted to show someone living and in a bad neighborhood, not so great neighborhood, bullies, and what that's really like. That's what I wanted to show. I didn't want it to be, somebody who's autistic and they come from wealth and they have everything. Now, what does it look like for the single parent that's raising a grown child that's autistic? Because I know there's a lot of parents that have sons and daughters that are autistic, and they're afraid, okay, when I die, who's going to take care of my child? Who's going to love my child the way I would? How can I transition my son or my daughter to live on their own or to live with someone else? These are real concerns in the autistic community. So I just wanted to bring awareness and teach, and the movie just definitely promotes love. It promotes friendship. It promotes kindness, so that's Gerald's Hands.
I love that.
And I'm sorry. It started off as a thriller. It started off as a psychological thriller. I was actually going to write a movie about a man who was obsessed with a girl. It was a totally different story.
Really?
And it was in the middle of the pandemic. And I was like, I can't. It's too much stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like, people are dying right now. I want to do something inspirational. And so, Gerald's Hands.
We need that. I'm sure, most people out there, you have someone who's along the spectrum in your family, or someone. I myself had somebody in my family who was on the spectrum, who sadly passed away. And those thoughts went through my mind, as she was growing up, and the struggle that my mother had raising her, along the way, and championing her accomplishments and trying to get her through school and to be seen as a normal or regular person, because she didn't learn a certain way and the challenges she had against, like you said, other bullies in school. But she was capable of learning. She just learned in a different way.
Yes.
And my mother fought and fought and fought, for her to make it through school. So yeah, that resonates with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. That one I know is, go ahead.
I said, God bless your mom.
Yeah.
God bless her. That's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Everyone needs love.
Love is the answer.
Yeah. Everyone needs it.
Need it. Yeah. So now that one's available. Can we see that somewhere?
Oh, yes. It's available Tubi, Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Was it Plex, Cineverse? So it's on several net platforms, but Tubi is my number one. Go to Tubi for free.
Okay.
And we like it. Look up Gerald's Hands.
Okay. Couple more. The Super for Charlene. Yeah, a couple of them going here.
Super. Pay your bills. And the rats and the roaches in the water bugs. So, oh God, I just love the Super. The Super is a story about, it's just really putting a highlight on gentrification, right? And it's about this guy growing up in this neighborhood, you know, and the building. And he comes back as a grown man, and he's trying to get the building in order because they're like tearing things down, building up new buildings, trying to get them out of the building. The building has not met the code. So it has all is all these problems in the building. It hasn't met fire code, building code. So there's a lot of it's about to be torn down, you know. And so this guy comes in, the super who used to live there. He's trying to get everybody together, and he's trying to get the building together, and he's having a hard time. Nobody respects him because he grew up in the neighborhood. He grew up in the building. And you got all these different people in the building. You got Miss Walker, who when he was like in his 20s and Miss Walker was in her 40s, they had a little thing going on. But now he's in his 40s and Miss Walker's in her 60s, and he don't want Miss Walker, but he kind of keep that thing going, you know. And then you got Big Mama's one shop truck stop. So instead of the truck is going to, like, you know, the gas station to get cleaned up and stuff, they go to Big Mama's house. She got the food. It's like a brothel. So she got the food. She got the girls. She got the clean linen. So you got all that going on. Then you got Mr. Ali, who's an Asian guy. And, you know, but he wears it. He's like Assalamu alaikum, you know, in the building. And he has, you know, he's selling everything from condoms to Tic Tacs, and, you know, doing nails. He got a nail salon. He got a massage parlor. He got everything going in his house. You know how people in the hood, in the building, somebody got a store in that building. You don't have a store
in that building.
You got the fish fries, people selling fish sandwiches, all that stuff going on in the building. Then we got somebody in the building who thinks he's Trump and he thinks he's Obama. And he's like a squatter in apartment 666, and he has a split personality. And 1 minute he got the Make America Great Again hat on to the front, then he turns it to the back and he becomes Obama, and he's just like personalities and stuff. And so you got all these, it's a bunch. You got the lady in the building who got, you know, she has about 15 different people living, and she's Mexican, and she got all her family. They all living in this 1-bedroom apartment in the building. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on in this building. And the super, who's very passive, you know, and he's trying to get it all together, you know, but he got to get a backbone. He got to get some respect. You know, you got Gorgeous George. He used to be a pimp, but he changed his life around. Now he's a Christian, and he's trying to get with Sister Vera, and she got a church down the street. So it's all these different fun, amazing characters.
That's incredible. How do you develop these characters, especially when you have such a large group of people like that, you know, in a way that can create, you know, comedy, resonate a message, like all these different elements, like you said before. How do you do that?
I saw him. I mean, I had a big mama in my neighborhood in the Bronx who did the same thing. The truckers went to her house. So it's like growing up. That's some of the benefits of growing up in the hood.
A bunch of characters. I hear that.
You meet people throughout life. You meet all kind of people, and, you know, and that's a lot of the characters I develop are people that I've met, or I'll just take the time to give my characters a backstory. I'm talking about a backstory from their childhood all the way to where they are in present day. And so I'm able to, you know, just develop characters, give them their own voice, their own personality, make them interesting. And I think because I enjoy writing, and again, like we said, it's not work, it's a passion. So when you're passionate about something, you just do it because you love it.
Love it.
So, yeah.
How do you, what does the workspace look like for you? How do you get into, you know, writing? What does it look like in terms of physicality and mental?
Okay. So yeah, I need a really clean space to write. I need a clean, peaceful environment to write. I need a quiet environment. I'm not a writer that I play music and have all these different things going. Like, I just need a quiet, clean, peaceful environment to write for me to really create. And then I go into I become all these characters. I sit down, I see everything. When I'm writing, it's as if I'm watching a movie. I see my character. I see how they look, how they sound, how they talk, you know, their body language, what they're going through, when they're hurt. I see all of that, and I pour everything I have into the writing. Because what I learned about my writing is because I can just write. Let's just be honest. I can just sit down and just write. But when I do that and people read it, they don't feel nothing. It's just because I just did it. But when I go into that place where I become those characters and I really develop them and see them, and I put my heart and my soul into those words.
So give us an example. So are you meaning very descriptive in your, what the words say or what the actions are leading up to?
I'm just putting my heart and my soul into it.
Okay.
So for example, if I'm writing something, I want people to come to that place of where I've been. I want them to see what I see. I want them to feel what I feel. So I put that into my writing. It could be descriptive. It could be the way a person talks. I give them their own way of the way that they talk, the way that their mannerism, you know.
Okay, so I think that's what I mean, like in a technical way. Do you actually put in the descriptive words, or like Marvin, slowly walks over to Cornisha and gently places his hand around her face, like that, those kind of descriptive words? Or do you sort of you give the description of the character and sort of allow the actor to sort of bring it to life and then direct it as needed?
I'm very, very descriptive, but I still let the actors bring it to life, but I lead them. So they really bring into life what I want them to bring to life, because I've been so descriptive in the storytelling that I lead them into bringing the characters that I see to life. I can lead them by the way something is written. Just like in how I learned to write like that is, at one time I would write for directors. I would write for people to make my films. Before I started making my own films, I was writing for people to make them. And I wanted them to bring my vision to life. So it's my job as a writer to make the director see what I see. So I had to write it in such a way where they understand who this character is. They see who this character is. They see what I see. And so that takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of work, but there's ways that you can write that you help them, the person that's reading, see what you see.
Gotcha. Okay. Makes sense.
Yes.
Let's talk about you in terms of being a woman in the industry. A lot of challenges for you, or do you feel like you've just sort of made your way and been able to do what you needed to do?
Oh my goodness, there's so many challenges with being a woman in the industry. There's a lot of challenges with that. And at first I didn't know the challenges. I just was kind of like, feeling like everybody was equal. We're all equal. We're all working as a team. But I've had a hard time. I've had a hard time with men in the industry, to be honest with you, with them being competitive. When they realize what I do, it becomes a competitive situation. I haven't received a lot of support. I have not. So that's been a challenge for me. Yeah.
Do you seek to mostly, I don't even know if I should ask this, but do you seek mostly to employ women or people of color, or both? Or is that something that you feel like is your mission as well?
I employ anybody who can do the job and be professional.
There you go.
You're going to have to do
the job
and be professional. You show up on time. You take what we're doing seriously, because it's very hard, especially for people of color. Let's keep it real. It's very hard to film. That's not an easy task. And you want people that's going to take it seriously, that's going to show up on time, that's going to be prepared. They've read the script. I've had people that I try to give opportunities to that they show up and they haven't even read the script. Like, what are we doing? I've had DPs show up and just wing it. We can't wing stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So I need people that's going to take it serious. And if you're professional and you take it serious, then you're on the team, because we have to get this done, and we have to start getting stuff done to a high standard.
That's right.
We can do it we have to get stuff done to a high standard. And so that's how I move.
Hey, I like that.
And I used to be different, but I'm like, no, you got to be professional now and bring it the right way.
Listen, they follow the leader. If the leader's not taking it seriously, then they won't take it seriously.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
if you're the
Exactly.
leader,
And
you
that's
gotta.
so true. And you have to make good choices of who you are partnering with. That's very, very important. Just in life, we got to make choices of what we allow, what we take into our spirit, what we allow to go into our ears, what we hear, what we see. We got to take that into consideration because it affects everything around us.
Right.
It affects everything.
Everything.
You have a good team, there's nothing you can do. So as
Right.
long as I have a good team, I'm with it. And that could be, I love to give us a chance, but we gotta come right. We gotta come right. We gotta be willing to share content. You don't want to share a poster. You don't want to share a trailer. That's a problem for me.
Right. We're a
If I have
team.
an actor that they don't want to share a poster or a trailer, or they talking about pay me to share it, like I'm Hollywood, good and well I'm not Hollywood.
Right.
I'm an independent filmmaker who barely had enough money to put this production together. So it's really about, we got to work with one another. That's the truth. That's
That
what
is the truth.
and I work with a lot of people. It's just about making choices. Like I have worked with a lot of people, and I'm talking about Black folks now. I'm talking about that we work together. I have a great team, but then you have some that just be on something different. And I'm not with that. Just because
Right.
you're Black, I'm not with that.
Being it like second rate, like it don't matter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Listen, you're gonna have to be on it the right way with me. And that's how we're gonna go. So at this point, it's like whoever comes and they professional and who God sends me that's going to do the job is who I'm going to bring on board to do the job.
That's right. Do you enter your films in film festivals and things like that, or you stray away from that?
I did with Gerald's Hands. So Gerald's Hands made it to Cannes Film Festival. Congratulations. It won some film festivals. It won some. It has a Telly Award.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Jeez,
Telly Award for best social impact film. Best social impact film came in second to Post Malone, and that's
wow,
huge,
that's huge.
So yeah, so it's I've done it, but I really don't do it often because it's just right now more into just like putting movies out and distributing it and getting it before audience. It's money. Put these films in these festivals cost money, and I could use that money to put it towards marketing and get it out there before audience. So that's where I'm at right now in my career, pretty much trying to get it distributed and in front of eyes.
That's so true. And I have to agree with you on that. I mean, I'm involved in the film festival circuit. So I will say it is good to put them in the film festivals. I would say choose the ones that would reap you the best benefits, whether it's a cash money prize, whether it's getting your work on something like PBS, which Gerald's Hands could be on. You know what I'm saying? Like those kind of film festivals are the things you want to enter into. Okay. I moderate the Harlem International Film Festival every year, so I do the talkbacks with the filmmakers. Several of our films have gone from the Harlem Film Festival to PBS. Oh wow! So I would love to consider
Gerald's Hands for that.
Absolutely.
I didn't know about that, but I would love to consider Gerald's Hands for that.
Yeah. That's why we're talking right now.
All right.
So consider things like that. And I, too, I don't know if you know, but I'm a filmmaker as well. So my films enter film festivals around the world, and I travel and talk on the film festival platforms talking about filmmaking. But there's some benefits to it too.
I didn't know that. I got to check out your films.
I applaud. It's all right. I applaud you for making content. Another thing you may want to do, and we can talk about this later too, is consider taking your content and making a streaming channel where it's your content on the channel. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So it goes on an app on Roku, which has 400 million viewers, and then your content is played on there. And people can subscribe to your content, which is another way for us to make money. Okay. All right. Well, definitely, you and I have to talk more about that. I've heard about the Roku, but I've never thought about that. And that's a great you idea. Have so much content. That was the first thing I saw when I thought about when I saw your content. Oh, wow. Getting your own streaming channel and letting, people subscribe because they want to see it. They want all your content in one place. I was going to ask you, where can we see all your content? If you have it in different places, we have to search for it. Get yourself an app on this Roku. And it also, other people will tune in. They'll be like, oh, what's this channel? Charge a little subscription. You're making money to help fund your projects.
Oh, that's a great idea. Okay. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
Great. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Thank
That's
you.
why we're talking today. So I want to do something a little fun, and
Oh.
let's see how we can do this. I haven't done this in a while. We're going to play a little something. It's called Fire on the Mic.
Fire on the mic.
That's right. I'm going to ask you some
Do I have to think
questions.
quick? Do I have to think quick for this?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a couple
Uh-oh, I'm
questions.
in
You say the
trouble.
first thing
Oh, boy.
on your mind. They're not bad. They're not bad. So
Let me take a sip of coffee and
take some
wake up.
coffee, get it together.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can get this little sound cue together.
Also, I stay up late writing too, so I gotta take some coffee and wake up now.
Okay, all right. I see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me see if the sound cue works.
So I'm excited already.
You excited? So we're gonna play a little game. It's called Fire on the Mic.
Fire on the mic.
Fire on the mic, because this is OneMicNite. So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. I just want to know the first thing that comes to your mind and what your answer is.
Okay.
Couple questions.
Okay.
Number one, what's your favorite movie quote?
Oh,
what's your favorite movie quote?
Oh gosh, you didn't got me. Friends don't hurt friends.
Friends don't hurt friends. What's that from?
Gerald's Hands.
Gerald's. Of course it is. Of course it is. I like that. Number two, if you could get to eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Fried fish.
Fried fish? What kind of fish?
Tilapia.
Fried tilapia. All right. All right. What, if any, is the most ridiculous thing you've done just to get a shot in the business? Just to get yourself up in there to get a shot.
Work for free.
Work for free. Okay.
You work for free over and over again.
That is kind of crazy, but we do it.
Yes.
What's your favorite movie soundtrack? What's your favorite movie soundtrack?
I love 5 Heartbeats.
5 Heartbeats is good. Yeah.
And Girls.
That's right. I like that. I like that soundtrack too.
The Wiz. I'm gonna keep going on.
The Wiz is going on tour too, by the way.
Yeah.
They're rebooting The Wiz. I like that.
Yeah, The Wiz. Quincy Jones Wiz.
Yeah. Okay, Quincy Jones Wiz. Okay, okay. There you go. Number 5. What's the most memorable thing in your career so far?
Oh my goodness. The Rose of Georgia, my screenwriting. Filming, working on films. I think Gerald's Hands doing
hands.
You know, yeah.
We got to see Gerald's Hands. I want everybody to see Gerald's Hands.
Yeah.
We're gonna do something with that. I'm gonna help you.
Thank you.
The next and last question is: if you could have dinner with any person, living or historically, who would that be?
Oh my God, dinner living or historically. At this point, I would have to say Quincy Jones.
Quincy Jones. Why is that?
Because he's so brilliant, and he comes from Chicago, and he didn't have his mom was schizophrenic. His dad was just out there, was there but wasn't. And he found a piano and he honed his craft, and he worked so hard, and he's done such amazing things. I was watching his documentary, and Michael Jackson, he's part of the reason why Michael Jackson became so big. Yes, he was part of the Jackson 5, but Quincy Jones made all the music, and he had the best writer in the world write the lyrics, and he worked with Michael, and I'm just like, wow, Michael Jackson, but this is actually the brilliance behind Michael Jackson. And I just think he's amazing. Yeah.
I love that. That's a great answer. I love that. Let's talk about your book before you go. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but we need to know about the book and any other projects you have coming up you want us to know about.
I'm so silly. I mean, why you got me? I'm so silly,
that's all right. It's commercial time. We gotta see the book. Let's know about it.
This book, Evergreen Uprooted, is about my life growing up on the South Bronx, on Evergreen Avenue. That's where I grew up. It's very compelling. It's very raw. And it's on Amazon Prime right now, and Kindle and paperback form. If you want me to read an excerpt, I'll read it. I
would love for you to. What can we expect from it? That's what I want to know.
Let's see.
Why should we get this book?
What do you want to read? You want me to read about when my mother offered me to smoke crack at 9 years
Sure.
old, do
Let's
you
go.
want me to read about growing up in the Bronx, the neighborhood? What you want?
Your choice.
No, you tell me.
Author's choice. Author's choice.
No, I can't.
Let's hear about. Let's save the mother part. Let's hear about growing up in the Bronx.
Let's go. Okay. So this is chapter 2. Okay. I grew up in the birthplace of hip hop music and culture, the Bronx, New York. During the early 80s, I lived in the South Bronx on Evergreen Avenue, right off of Westchester Avenue. Above the street sign Evergreen was a number 6 train line. It seemed like all the bodegas, corner stores, as those in the neighborhood called them, were in competition. The bodega that was located across the street from my building, right at the corner, had neon lights that read Lotto. Across the street was another store with the words grocery store written in graffiti. Parallel to that was another store that contained very few groceries. Stores such as those were usually cover-ups for drug trafficking. In the next block over, there was yet another bodega, which had a portrait of a madman sprayed on the face of the building. The picture reminded me of the Joker in the deck of playing cards. The South Bronx was home to many underprivileged people. Parks, pools, and community centers were non-existent in my hood. So for the people living there, especially the poor, it was all about finding ways to laugh and have fun. I can go on if you want me to.
That's good. We just want to give them enough to get in there and get that book.
You think that was enough?
I think that was enough.
Okay.
You think it was enough? We can keep going, but
it's I could go a little bit. I go a half a page more, and then I think this will get them into it. In the summertime, we look forward to opening the fire hydrant. We called it the pump. We flooded the streets with water. No one cared that the pump was supposed to be used to put out fires. The young boys wore ripped jeans turned into shorts and were shirtless, revealing their skinny, hairless chests. They made a hose by cutting off both ends of a soup can and attaching the remaining cylinder to the flowing water. They used it to spray the vehicles as they drove by. We called it the car wash. The OG, respected men of the community who sold illegal drugs and made a lot of money, drove through my block in expensive trucks and luxury cars, blasting the latest hip hop songs with smiles on their faces. Everything about an OG was glamorous, from the fresh wax paint on their vehicle to the $1,000 rims and tinted windows and leather interior to their tailor-made suits worn with shoes that shine brighter than Mr. Clean's bald head. I watched the OGs lean back, nod their head to the music, and roll their tinted windows up for the car wash. One by one, they slowly drove by and watched the excitement on the young boys' faces as they sprayed the water. The water looked like diamonds rolling off their vehicle. Imagine that, diamonds in the hood. It was like a scene from the movie Cinderella, unrealistic, but not impossible. Every young boy living in the hood, living in poverty, wanted to be an OG someday, and every girl wanted to marry one.
Well done. Well done.
Evergreen.
Diamonds in the hood. Diamonds in the hood.
Yeah.
Word.
So it just goes back to that day, that time, the experience of growing up on Evergreen. I speak about the good, the bad, the ugly, the fun, stuff. And just trying to bring people there to that place, giving them a visual of what it was during that time, growing up, the excitement of it all, the ups and downs.
Well done.
Thank you.
What do you have coming up? Anything else you want to promote for us?
I am writing.
You writing? Good.
Right. I'm writing like about 7 different stories.
Okay. All right.
One is a faith-based story. One is a psychological thriller. I got a Christmas story I'm working on. Just so many different sci-fi. I write different genres too. So working on a whole bunch of really amazing stories. I'm excited. I'm always excited about storytelling. I'm also working on my cinematography again. I used to get out there and film, and I kind of got lazy and stopped doing it. Mm-hmm. But I want to put out so much content now, and I'm noticing there are a lot of people, especially women, who are getting out there with their camera and they filming stuff, and
doing it
great. It looks fantastic, and they putting it out. So I'm about to be one of those chicks.
I love it. I love that. That's what we're talking about. Do a little bit of everything.
Yes.
Whatever you feel like doing.
Yes, sir.
Well, N.A.Z, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, sharing your life, sharing your book, your work, everything. We will continue to talk. I would love for you to come back. I could talk to you all day long. You have so much work, and you're such a shining bright light Keep doing what you're doing. Your story and work is amazing. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Yes, let's stay connected.
We definitely will, because I still have more to talk to you about. Okay. Everybody, please go out and get the book. It's called Evergreen Uprooted. There you go. She's holding it. Memoirs of Secret. You see the cover right there. It's available on Amazon. Make sure you pick that up. Also, tell us how we can get in touch with you if we need to reach out to you.
N.A.Z.Pankey.com. If you want to send me an email, send it to N.A.Z.Pankey@gmail.com.
Which I found out the hard way.
I don't know what's going on with my emails that I'm getting on my website. I have to figure it out because I don't want to miss anything.
Right.
I have to figure that out. But yes, everything is N.A.Z. Pankey. So you can find me on Instagram under N.A.Z. Pankey. I'm on Facebook, N.A.Z. Pankey, which is N.A.Z.Pankey. You can send me an email, N.A.Z.Pankey@gmail.com. My website is N.A.Z.Pankey.com.
Please definitely check out the website. You'll see all the clips. You'll see her director, screenwriter, creator reel on there and get a little sample of what she does. But definitely make sure you follow Gerald's Hands on Tubi. And as I said, we'll continue to talk after this. Everyone, thank you for joining me for this episode of OneMicNite. Follow the show at OneMicNite. It's OneMicNite. 17 years of OneMicNite. Thank you guys all for that. And you can DM me at Marcos Luis, MarcosLuis. Let me know what you're thinking about and what you have in mind for a topic, or if you have someone you'd like to be on the show and learn more about, please slide me a DM. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.